finish your tired week, and we will make them strong. Bring us your foreign song. We will sing along. Leave us your broken dream. We'll give them time to mend. There's still a lot of love living in the promised land. Living in the promised land. Our dreams are made of steel. The prayer of every man is to know how freedom feels. And there is a winding road across the shifting sand. Room for everyone living in the promised land. So they came from a distant isle, aimless woman, faithless child, like a bad dream. Until there was no room at all, no place to run and no place to fall. Give us your daily bread. We have no shoes to wear, no place to call our own, only this cross to bear. And we are the multitudes. Lend us a helping hand. Is there no love anymore? Living in the promised land. Living in the promised land. Living in the promised land. Our dreams are made of steel. The prayer of every man is to know how freedom feels. And there is a winding road across the shifting sands. And room for everyone living in the promised land. And room for everyone living in the promised land.
Yes, yes, yes. Andy Byron, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Byron is in the house. Woo! Good morning to all of you who are sitting out there in your pajamas, drinking your coffee and your tea wherever you are. I know pretty much if you're in Boise, Idaho, you are inside because it's raining out there. So welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Boise, Idaho, Facebook Live Sunday service. As we continue to follow the guidelines of safety and security and health for all of our people, we welcome you here this morning. And I want to say how truly honored we are that you chose this place to be as we celebrate the Promised Land with our great musicians. This morning, of course, with us on our bass guitar, we have the great George Haddon, and we have Phil Bowden on the piano. So that doesn't look like a piano to me. By the way, can you play the piano? No, he can't play the piano, so he's on his instrument, the drum. And we have our magnificent musical director, the magnificent Rex Miller on the piano. Hey, Rex, can you play drums?
Not very well.
Oh, okay, but hey. And of course, as you've already heard, as he sang us into the Promised Land this morning, we have the magnificent, talented Andy Byron with us today. Ooh. Andy, as you all know, is a regular here, not as regular as we'd like him to be, but whenever we can get him to sing with us, we are always so excited to have Andy Byron. He brings such an energy. So it's a little different, isn't it, Andy, in an empty room, huh, buddy? Yeah. Andy can feel you as I can, and as all of the people who are here taking safe social distancing, as we call it this morning, with us on the sound, trying to make us sound good the best he can, really is Mr. Thomas O'Rourke. Thank you so much for being with us on sound. Yes, we have Ed and Cheryl in the house as well, who are supporting us in so many different things to get church online. It takes a lot of work to get this online. And our magnificent camera person, Miss Donna Sheedy, who got a haircut, is in the house. Ooh, Donna, I think you got one of the first haircuts in Boise, Idaho. That can go down in history. Yeah, that's not true? Oh, somebody else got one. Oh, I get it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Keeping the secrets from your minister. And with us this morning, bringing forth our spiritual practices, already in prayer with us this morning, already doing the work, the magnificent healing work of a practitioner, we have Miss Deborah Whitman with us in the house. I just want to say thank you to everyone for being with us, and welcome to Facebook Live. Let's just take a moment. That's all right, Deborah, I'm going to turn it off. That was, if you're hearing a phone call, that's Reverend Jackie's phone. Don't anyone touch it. Thank you. Let's just take a moment and take a deep breath as we begin to move our energy to that healing place, to that sacred, holy healing place. Take a deep breath with me and consciously now, give thanks to those strong, healthy, COVID-free lungs. Take a conscious moment to be in gratitude this morning. Take another deep breath with me as I ask every week, how is your body today? How is your heart today? Open, receptive, ready. And how is your mind today? In the upper place, in the promised land. How is your body, your mind, and your heart? Take another deep breath with me as we invite Deborah to the stage.
And again, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. It is my honor to introduce George Haddon, who will light the world religions candles from the Christ candle. In religious science, we perform this ceremony to acknowledge that all people and all faiths come from one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. In lighting these candles, we honor the one family of humanity, made up of over 4,000 religions and spiritual traditions throughout the world. We light the first candle for Buddhism. The fundamental goal of Buddhism is peace, inner and outer. First, we must understand the cause of peace. Then we can direct our thoughts. We light this candle for our peaceful thoughts and peaceful hearts. We light the second candle for Hinduism. Gandhi defined the Hindu creed simply as the search after truth through nonviolent means. We light this candle to light the way for nonviolence. We light the third candle for Judaism. The Hebrew shalom literally means peace, but also means completeness, wholeness, health, perfection, prosperity, and harmony. We light the candle of the spirit of shalom. We light the fourth candle for Christianity. In Matthew, the peace prayer begins, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be known as the children of God." We are the children of God. We are the peacemakers. We light the candle for all peacemakers. The fifth and final candle honors new thought. We teach that the peace of God is at the center of our being. We grow conscious of this peace, enter into peace, are surrounded by peace, and it calms the troubled waters of our experience. We light this candle for the peace within. And now let's quiet our minds and open our hearts to the message being sung by Andy Byron.
Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, Bimru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom. Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael. Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael.
Please join me in prayer. If you're comfortable, just close your eyes to avoid any distractions. Oh, what a beautiful song, Shalom. As I recognize the one presence, the one power, that is Shalom, that is the wholeness, the peace, the prosperity, the abundance, the joy, the compassion, and everything in between. It is all God. And I unify with this presence, knowing that as I was created in its image and likeness, I am of God also. And I know this same truth for everyone in this room, for everyone beyond these walls. We are all created in the image and likeness of Spirit. And from this place of absolute faith, from this place of knowing, I open my heart and I open my mind, knowing that God is everywhere and God is right here, right now. God is within these players that have helped make this service today. God is within Reverend Jackie as she steps up, opens her heart, opens her mind, and speaks the word that we all are destined to hear today. And so from this place of knowing, from this complete place of faith, I say, Shalom. as I release it into the law with a grateful heart. And for all of us, let's say, and so it is. Amen. Andy Byron.
Rosy lips, perfect smile. I used to hold you, but it's been a while. You were my baby, this cowboy's dream. Now a young lady, time flew it seems. You've grown all up to be a woman. I can't help but set you free. You've grown all up to be a woman, and every day I say, lucky me, lucky me. You got your mother, charming way, and only kind words you ever say. And everybody says love is found right there by Amy when she's around. Oh, you've grown all up to be a woman. I can't help but set you free. You've grown all up to be a woman, and every day I say, lucky me, lucky me. Truth and fairness, uncompromising, so much hope there on your horizon. But when you get down, or you get low, down my number, I'm right here, you know. You've grown all up to be a woman. I can't help but set you free. You've grown all up to be a woman, and every day I'm so proud to say, lucky me, lucky me, lucky me, oh, lucky me.
And lucky us to have Andy Byron in the house, yes. Andy wrote that song about one of his daughters, for one of his daughters, right? Actually, both of them, I guess, huh?
Actually, one, but there's one for each.
Oh, one for each. So he wrote that for his daughter, and this morning and lucky him as a dad to watch his daughter grow up to be such an amazing woman as his children are. And this morning when we were thinking about the songs to present to you this morning, I said, when he brought in Lucky Me, I said, yes, because how lucky we all are right now. How blessed and how lucky we are to be in this beautiful church. As I was walking through the empty church during this week, just blessing every room for the day when we will be back together as a community, as a spiritual family, blessing every empty seat that's in the sanctuary, knowing that soon, hopefully, it will be filled by all of us. I thought, how lucky me. So how wonderful it is to be with you this morning. I don't know what week we are in for this lockdown. Does anybody know how many weeks we've been doing it, Rex? How many weeks we've been doing this? I don't know. But I am lucky. 8 weeks, so it's been over 2 months, hasn't it? So we are deeply lucky to be in this beautiful place together this morning. I want to start with a story as I am thinking about this coronavirus, and I'm thinking about the impact that it has had on not just the church, but on all of us, all of our lives, all of our families, our ways of being, our ways of eating. I've got to say this right now. I'm pretty sick of my own cooking, which was never that good in the first place, so I'm just going to say. But in the midst of this pandemic, what does it mean to say that suffering is optional? The Buddhists teach that suffering is optional. So I'll start with this funny story about a man who was at a meditation retreat, had been meditating for several hours, and he went to his teacher and he said to his teacher, I've just had a terrible experience. I've just had this horrifying experience. I was meditating and I felt some tension in my jaw, and all of a sudden I realized what an uptight person I am. Nobody's ever going to love me. I'm going to be alone the rest of my life. The meditation teacher took a deep breath and said, so you mean you felt some tension in your jaw? And the man went on and said, oh, but you just don't understand. I'm pretty sure that I'm always going to be tense. I'll never change. I'm feeling hopeless. It's just terrible. And the meditation teacher said once again, so you mean you have some tension in your jaw? The student continued barreling down this road of misery, adding to his story how bad it is. Ain't it bad? It was terrible because of some tension in his jaw, until finally the meditation teacher said, listen, you got to stop this. You're having a painful experience, and I get that. But why are you adding a horrible story to yourself? Don't we do that a lot? Don't we awfulize a lot? And I can tell you, during this pandemic, I'm going to tell you, there's no question that if there's something bad, I can make it worse with my mind. I can make it worse than it's ever been before. This simple little jaw pain made this man to realize I'm going to be lonely my whole life. What stories we tell ourselves. And for the most part, many of us have been alone more in the last 8 weeks, as Andy says, 8 weeks, than we have ever been in our adult lifetime. So we've had a lot of opportunity to tell ourselves a lot of stories. We've had an opportunity to make up a lot of awfulizing, a lot of ain't this the worst thing that's ever happened to me? Well, and perhaps it will be. But this little story parallels a Buddhist teaching which is called the Arrow Sutra. It simply says this: when hit with discomfort, we feel two different afflictions. First, the inevitable physical feeling that we will get, and number two, the additional mental reactions that we will get. So some of you know that a couple of weeks ago, to give you an example of that, a couple of weeks ago I was out in the parking lot greeting our musicians, and I fell down. And I laid there, and I awfulized for a few moments. So there was, of course, the inevitable physical feeling of falling down, feeling the pain in my elbow and on my face. But then there was all these additional reactions that I had with the double arrow. The first reaction was, OMG, what a clumsy fool you are, Jackie. The third arrow came at me just as quickly. Oh my God, they're laughing at you. They're embarrassed for you. The fourth arrow came, I'm never getting up. I'm so embarrassed. Look what we do to ourselves. We feel the inevitable pain that is going to happen when we hurt ourselves. But then, and I'm not just talking about the physical hurting ourselves now, I'm talking about a mental and emotional and psychological hurt. And then we compound it with arrow after arrow after arrow. The Arrow Sutra invites us to imagine these two inflictions as two arrows. One, just like in a quiver for archery, which our beloved Vice President JJ could tell us about because she's an archer. We can't do anything about the first arrow once it hits. It's there. It hit us. And sometimes, in spite of our best efforts, we are hit with an affliction, with a sickness, with a dis-ease, with a hurt, with a loss. In spite of our best efforts, sometimes we cannot control what's going on around us. And right now, we have been hit by the affliction, the arrow of this coronavirus. And so this Buddhist tradition challenges us to practice letting go of those additional arrows that we are hurling at ourselves through our mental reactions, hurling at ourselves. Nobody else is behind that, bow. Nobody else is behind it. We are the ones that are shooting ourselves with our fears, with our pain, with our erroneous belief system, with our desires. Sometimes the greatest arrow that we inflict in ourselves is the arrow of desire for what cannot be. And right now, we must begin to ask ourselves, how can I be in this without adding more to my story? The teaching is often summarized as saying, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The actual translation of the word is unsatisfactory, that we are unsatisfied. It's not so much suffering as it is unsatisfied. Jack Cornfield, who was one of my early meditation teachers, used to say this: we are often quite loyal to our suffering. We're often quite loyal to our suffering. We're comfortable in it. We can become a victim in it, perhaps a martyr in it. Somehow we think our suffering makes us stronger, makes us better. I'm going to tell you something. We are quite addicted to being unsatisfied. I'm not saying that we shouldn't change things that are negative. Of course we should change things that are negative and toxic. Of course we must control the things that we can control. But I'm talking about what we add to it now. I'm talking about all the stuff that we are putting on what is already a difficult situation and making it more difficult. Now maybe like normal, whether there are people sitting in this seat or whether it's empty, I'm just talking to myself about this right now. But yesterday morning we had a practitioner meditation and a practitioner meeting on Zoom, and we always do a check-in where we all share, what's going on in our lives. And I was so comforted and interested in how our practitioners are not adding to the difficulties, but they're emerging from them, that they are controlling what they can, that they're dealing with what is in front of them to deal with, but the entire time they are holding all that is happening in their lives in a prayerful state of sacredness, recognizing that this coronavirus is a sacred moment in time. Yesterday, as I watched former President Barack Obama speak at the national graduation for so many students, I thought to myself, what do you remember about your college graduation, Jackie? From East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina, for all of you who might not know that. I don't remember anything about it. I think I remember that it was hot and humid. I believe that I hated that hat that you had to wear that looked so stupid. I'm pretty sure I hated that. I think I remember that my mother and my sister Frida were there. But really, I thought to myself, as sad as it is that those students did not walk across the stage for the most part and receive their diplomas, will they ever forget their graduation? I think not. I think in years to come, their grandchildren are going to say, here comes Grandpa talking about his damn graduation again, when Barack Obama spoke to him. I think this coronavirus is not at all a positive thing in the large. In the large, it's not a positive thing, but that we can find those arrows of positivity for ourselves. And here's the good news, people. The good news is that we are learning different ways of being in our world now. We're learning different ways of being with ourselves now. We're learning how to grow spiritually. That's part of the reason so many of us show up for spiritual community, even if we're only meeting online. We're still showing up because the coronavirus and that which has come with it is giving us an opportunity to grow spiritually, to grow mentally and emotionally. You know, I don't know when Andy Byron is going to learn not to tell me things because he knows I'm going to say this on the camera or on the stage. But I asked him this morning if he was sequestering in place with his honey, a beautiful, amazing lady. You've been together how long, Andy? 3.5 years. And he looked at me and I thought he was going to break into tears. And he said, I wish. She's down in California. And of course, he's up here in Boise. But in that moment, I thought, oh, that really is too bad. But then I thought, wow. Think about how you're growing together in ways you never could have. Think of how we are growing, how we are showing up for each other in different ways than we have ever shown up before. You're having to show up in a different way with her, to be a completely different partner with her. Those of you who are with your loved ones, you're so blessed, and I'm so happy for you. And those who are separated, my heart is with you as well. But there is a part of me that thinks, wow, can you imagine the coming back together? Okay, everybody get your head out of the gutter right now. Here's what I want to know. Here's what I want you to know. That we come here in this place, spiritual communities, whatever they are all over the world right now, are coming together for one purpose. So that we can remain centered in loving kindness. So that we can remain centered in compassion and spiritual growth. So that we can find a way to connect with other human beings through our vibrations of love, of acceptance, and of oneness. We come together in these communities online with each other so that we can learn to create within ourselves a healed heart, as our practitioner Loretta Knowles loves to say. I want you to notice that I'm saying that we practice loving kindness, compassion, and oneness in spite of our imperfections. Because none of us are perfect, and this time, if nothing else, has certainly shown me that. We are not perfect, nor will there ever be such a thing as perfection for everybody. But the religious science philosophy of which we are a part of, the Centers for Spiritual Living, teaches us that we are about creating a world that works for everyone. We're not saying that is perfect for everyone. No, but that works for everyone, where every person's human dignity is respected and honored. That it isn't about race or religion or creed or sexual orientation or lifestyle, but it is about a healed, loving heart. That's why we come together every week. Because being enlightened, being spiritually advanced, if we want to use these judgment words, I don't know how to say it, growing spiritually, does not mean that everything is going to be perfect and that everything is going to be pain-free. Quite frankly, it means the opposite of that. It means that when you are spiritually, when you have done your spiritual work, when you are enlightened to the level that you are at in this moment, it means that you find another way to deal with the pain. You find another way to deal with the suffering. And you begin to realize that any optional suffering is under your control. It's under my control. I have had moments of profound sadness in the last 8 weeks. I have had moments of the deepest loneliness of my life in the last 8 weeks. And then I recognized that's optional suffering. That is under your control. You can pick up the phone and reach out. You can go to the old-fashioned part of what your grandmother used to say, when you're feeling lonely, write somebody a note. That's optional suffering. This time has come to show us that we will always have impermanence and change in our lives. And if nothing else, the last 8 weeks has taught us for certain that there is nothing and no one that we can really depend upon except ourselves. Change is inevitable. Suffering happens. Impermanence is a part of the human condition, whether we're enlightened or ignorant to the spiritual truth of life itself. So here we are in this coronavirus, and all we can do right in this moment is to put the things that are under our own control, we can control. And it begins with our mind. Religious science teaches that. We have known it. All spiritual traditions teach that there is one thing that we can control, and that's our minds. I want to challenge you right where you are right now. I want you to stop whatever it is you're doing and whatever it is you're thinking about, and I want you just to stop where you are and think about nothing. Go on. How'd you do? It's not so easy, is it? But our mind is under our control. And whatever spiritual practice that you use, whether it's meditation, whether it's cooking, I know people who that's a spiritual practice for them, yoga, exercise, whatever it is, practice these spiritual practices until you can stop and think nothing. And now you are in control of any optional suffering that this situation is bringing to you. I'm reminded of a quote from Islamic Sufi poet Hafiz, who says this: "Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I would like to see you living in better conditions," he says. Fear is the cheapest room in your mind. It is the easiest thing to move in to your brain. It is the easiest vibration to enter into your spirit. Fear is the easiest interloper in our lives. And as Hafiz says, I would love to see you living in better conditions. Now, don't get me wrong. We have to be appropriately mindful. And if some of you want to translate that to fear, that's okay. We have to be appropriately mindful of this coronavirus. We have to. We have to for ourselves or on behalf of other people. I'm certainly not saying that. But as I walked in this morning and I had to go through the required CDC things that I've got to say whenever there are groups of less than 10 people in a room, and I have to instruct them with signs on the doors and all the things that we've got to do, I took a deep sigh this morning and I said, I'm so tired of this. As I know you are too. I know you are. But we must remain mindful. We must remain responsible for ourselves and for other people. Jack Kornfield, once again, would say in meditation that when you tried to stop your mind and fears would come into your mind, that you could say to them, thank you. Pause when you see an anxiety or a fear coming into your mind. Pause and say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm okay right now. Every time you feel a fear coming up, pause and say to yourself, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm okay right now, if you are okay. So what can we do? We can pause, be grateful, take in all of the ways that we are safe, that we are protected, that we are loved and loving. We can take all of this in. We can ask ourselves in this moment, why am I afraid? What's worrying me? And what is my part in that? What arrow have I inflicted upon myself? In this wonderful book called The Buddha Brain, there's a quote that says this: our brains have evolved to be like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive experiences. The media has done that to us. We have been trained to let the negative things stick to us and the positive things go away like off Teflon. It should be the reverse. You and I can control that. Our brains have been fixating on the negative for so long that we have forgotten who we are. Our brains have been focusing on the bad news and what is wrong with our world for so long that we have forgotten who we are and whose we are. That we were created by this dynamic, amazing, positive principle called God by so many of us. Allah, Father, Abba, the infinite intelligence, the great mind, the creator, whatever word works for you. It is time for us to retrain our brains to remember who we are and whose we are. The expressions of the Most High, that which was created in goodness and is good. The Buddha said this, not reviving the past, not hoping to be in the future. Instead, with insight, see each arising state. Be aware of where we are. Be conscious of where we are. Because beyond what this world is already hitting us with, beyond this coronavirus, what it's already hitting us with, if you find yourself beginning to shoot optional arrows into your own heart, into your own mind, gently ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Is this thought, is this fear supporting me in who I came to planet Earth to become, to be? And if it does not, you can, like my daddy used to say to his 4 daughters all the time, you don't have to believe everything you think. You don't have to believe everything you think, Jackie, my daddy would say. But I'm smart, so I have to believe that. No, you don't. You can stop and watch your life. Look, guys, I don't know what the coming days are going to do for us. Your board of trustees and I are in prayerful and very scientific exploration about when to open our church and what to do. I don't know what the coming days are going to bring, but I can promise you this too shall pass. God has promised this too shall pass. I believe that with all my heart. The Buddha also said this, whatever has the nature to arise has the nature to pass away. Whatever has the nature to come up in our world has the nature, the ability to pass away. We can't stop what's happening to us right now. We cannot stop what's happening to us. But I promise you this, we can learn from it. And I promise you this also, we will rise from it. Tomorrow is a better day. Stay prayerful. Focus on what you can change. Stay healthy. Walk. Do what you need to do. Go within. Spend time in the silence. Spend time in prayer. Let me say this, that every mystic who came before you, whether it was Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad or Snoopy, had periods of disappearance, times when they went into an empty space and they went within and they sequestered in place. They sheltered in place, but their place was a holy space. Their space was a place of prayer and affirmation and acceptance. It was as if they had suddenly dropped off the planet. Most people didn't know where they were and what they were doing, and that describes a lot of us right now. They went alone. They went within. They spent their time in prayerful communion with God itself. I invite you to do that. And finally, I invite you just to be where you are, whatever it looks like. Whatever it looks like. If you're in fear, be in fear. If you're in happiness, be in happiness. Just be where you are in this moment. Just stop and sit and check in with yourself. Check in with your practitioners and people that you love. Talk to yourself about what you're the most concerned about. It's okay. And see if you can find a place in your body, in your heart, and in your mind where you can feel the love and the safety and the security of God surrounding you. And finally, I want to say to you, practice letting go of what you cannot change. Consciously ask yourself, why am I spending so much time and energy on trying to change something that I cannot change, that I don't want to change, that isn't worthy of my time right in this moment? Do not make yourself afraid. Do not allow the second, third, fourth, and fifth arrow to leave and enter you. Control what you can. Let's pray together. Let's just take a moment now, if you're comfortable, and go within. Just take a moment. Take a deep breath with me as you gently close your eyes. Right where you are in your safe, beautiful space. I want you to know that whether you're worried about an elderly parent or an ill child or worried about living alone, scared about being cut off from your community, I see you. I feel you right now. Maybe some of you are panicked because you see your retirement savings expanding. You are having to go back to a job that you don't want to go back to yet because you're afraid. Maybe you were planning a wedding. You're separated from your loved one. Maybe you're not able to have your musical gigs and people that you've worked on for years to come to Boise. Now you've got to cancel. I feel you. My heart is with you in this moment. Some of you don't have insurance or you're underinsured or you work by the hour. My heart is breaking for you and with you right now. I want you to know we see you. We see you. For those of you who are working with the refugees and the homeless communities and the other communities that are at risk, our frontline workers, our nurses, our doctors, the people who are cleaning for us, that are getting ready to open their stores in fear, those people that are on the front lines, we appreciate you. I see you, I feel you, I know you. In this prayer, is for you today, so that you can know that you are not alone, that there are faith leaders everywhere that are praying for and with you, that there are people everywhere on this planet that are praying, that see you, that know you, that feel for you. You are not alone. For those mothers and fathers that are so fearful to let their children of color jog on the street, I feel you, and I am with you, and I stand for you. As we all stand for human dignity and respect and acceptance. And so this morning, oh God, known by so many different names, followed by so many different paths, we affirm and declare loudly that we are one. We are all one humanity, one family. Regardless of who we are, where we are one today, and we stand for each other in this unprecedented time of fear of the coronavirus and of the rise of racism and hate in our country and around the world. We stand for love now. We stand for truth. We stand for justice. And we speak out into the dark places that must be spoken into now. So we say thank you, God, for being with us and with all people, as us, through us. We thank you for this time of learning to be greater than we ever believed we could be. For those individuals who have requested prayer in our church, for those individuals who have had surgery this week, our beloved Kimberly, for so many other people who have requested prayer of their body temple, know with me that the great physician, God itself, is at work right now. And I am calling forth strength, strong immune systems, wholeness and healing for people all over our world. I continue to know the truth for Boise, Idaho, that it is a place of safety and that all is well. And for our neighboring communities as well. And for our beloved Sean, right where he is, I know that all is well in his body temple. That anything that is unlike the light and the love of God itself is hereby being removed, being allowed to leave his body right now. And so I say thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, living, loving, life almighty. And so it is. And so we let it be. Amen. 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 Take a deep breath with me now. And recognize that God is right here in the midst. Turn to someone in your home or look right into this camera and just bow the namaste, saluting the Christ presence, the God presence, the love that in you is the love that is in me. Thank you for being with us this morning. And as we are moving into the closing part of our service, I just want to remind you that at 11:45, we have our Zoom hospitality. So grab that extra cup of coffee or tea and join us for Zoom hospitality. If you don't know how to do it, go to the eBlast or go to the Center for Spiritual Living Boise Facebook page and look on the eBlast. And there's all you have to do is just click right on that thing that says Join Zoom Meeting, and you can be with us, and we'll get to say hello and get to see your beautiful face. You know, it's about 10, 15 minutes where we get to talk to each other, and you can ask any questions that you might have of the ministers or the leadership in the church. And as we move into the second portion, the last portion of which is our conscious giving, I just want to say to you how grateful I am for the giving of all of you sending your checks in. As I hold these to my heart, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not going to sugarcoat the reality for those of you who are members and attending congregants of this church. I'm not going to sugarcoat the reality of what's happening. I cannot. That obviously our church, as most, if not every spiritual center that I do know of, having spoken with all of our faith leaders in this, many of the faith leaders in this town and around in our community, I do know that all of us are experiencing reduced cash flow. And I want to tell you that it's very, very real. So I ask all of you just to contemplate in your own life, what does this spiritual community mean to you in your life? Do you want to come back to your beautiful building, to your beautiful church? How can you consider supporting the church? Perhaps a little bit more now than before, because even though you're not sitting in the seat, the electric company absolutely does not give us any break. And I want you to know that there are no government buyouts or support for nonprofits right now or churches right now. No small business loans are available to us, etc. And we're asking you to look at, even more importantly than supporting this building and the money that's got to go out, that's secondary to what the reality of what conscious giving can do for you, how it can change your life. And that's a whole talk that I will give very soon. But I promise you, I tell you this, it changes your life when you consciously give. So right where you are, bring into your mind's eye the gift that you have given to your spiritual community or to any way that you have consciously given. I want you to hold that in your mind's eye and know that we are so grateful to you, so grateful for all of your support during this time. As together we say, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Deborah. For those of you who want to right now give to the Center for Spiritual Living, you can make your contribution with a quick text message. Send a text with the amount you want to give to 208-782-4202. 208-782-4202. Or you can go to cslboise.org, which is our website, and you can hit the donate button, and it will show you several different ways that you can donate. Please hear from my heart and from all of us here at the Center for Spiritual Living how deeply grateful we are that you're with us today and that you can continue to support your church not only with your giving, but with your prayers and your consciousness as well. I will see you on Facebook Live. Now, I want to tell you something. Andy Byron knows about 1 million songs, at least, right? 1 million, probably. He is one of the most prolific musicians I know. And as you guys know, he has the Americana Music, the Americana Music series, and you heard me allude to it in our prayer, that, Andy has to get musicians years in advance because of their schedules to come to Boise, and so much of that has had to be canceled. Every single one of our musicians sitting on this stage, when I asked them today with the opening of Boise, can we tell them where you're going to be? And all of them shook their hands and said, no, they're not opening yet. So I just want to remind you that on the CSL eBlast and on our website, we have a place where you can help our musicians. So go click on their pictures and you can hear all about that. But I started to tell you something different. I started to say to you that Andy knows about 1 million songs, but when he comes here, he knows I'm always going to ask for my favorite song. And today, as never before, it is so appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, not raining on my parade, Andy Byron.
Moon is shining bright on my Idaho home, Idaho home far away. Wind hums a tune round my Idaho home, Idaho home. I hear it play, hear it play. I have been caught in the eye of a storm, eye of a storm, and it's real. Like a flower in bloom, now I'm soaking up the sun, soaking up the sun. That's how I feel, how I feel. And don't you let it rain on my parade. 'Cause I just wanna stay right here where I am. I don't forget just how lucky I am on this road. Too many souls now lost in the dark, lost in the dark. Let's lead 'em home, lead 'em home. Don't you let it rain on my parade. 'Cause I just wanna stay right here where I am. So dig deep, you'll find love in your heart, love in your heart. Let it sing, and watch how it grows in each one you touch. Can't have too much of a good thing, a good thing. Don't you let it rain on your parade. And don't you wanna stay right here where we are? Don't you let it
So be blessed and safe this week, and take this wonderful music of Andy Byron with you, and don't let anyone rain on your parade. And so it is. Let's hear some more.